Hey out there, welcome to my studio. I'm Matt Kuhlman. I'm an artist that lives in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm making this first video for my YouTube channel that I've been wanting to start for a little while now, because I'm sort of more officially rolling out this idea that I have that is called Summit Studios, and exactly what it is right now is kind of hard to pin down because it's more of an idea. The only physical manifestation of Summit is I got this rubber stamp logo, so we're well on our way. I can stamp one of these out while I'm talking here. But Summit is basically something that I decided to start as an umbrella for commercial projects that I do to exist under. And anything that is produced under Summit is going to get that logo stamped on the tag or whatever. You imagine you get a t-shirt and you got that on, that's the branding there. But I just got my MFA a couple of years ago from UWM here in Milwaukee, and one of the big takeaways that I got really towards right at the end, and it was sort of a surprise to me, was that I didn't want to make money off my work, which it sounds kind of counterintuitive. When you're an artist, you want to make art all the time, and it just seems like a no-brainer. You're like, yeah, of course I want to make money off my work and just have that be my living, then I can do that all the time. But it happened during a presentation that we were watching of a professional artist who did that, and he was a portrait painter. He's reasonably skilled. It wasn't my personal favorite artist or anything, but he had talent for sure, and he made all of his money off of artwork. But in the process of it, of his presentation towards the end, he started showing us pictures of his studio, and it was almost set up like a gallery. And then he described like how, clients would walk in and see things that I do, and like I kind of got the sense of like what it would be like to work in that environment where you have to sell something to pay your bills, and if you don't make work that sells, you're not going to pay your bills. And that just seems like a nightmare, because then I would be worried about when I'm making something, I'm like, oh, is this gonna sell? And I don't ever want to be thinking that with my fine art that I want to be in galleries or in artist-run spaces or something. I want it to be art that is for art's sake and enjoyed for exploring new directions or new things, just making something that doesn't exist already. That's really what I want to get at with what I'm making. And so I decided that anything that I make in sort of what I consider fine art realm, like I don't want to try to make a living off of my studio practice in that sense, but I do have other things that are totally sellable and totally designed to just be commodities that use art in them. Like I make t-shirts all the time, and I make these stencil wildlife paintings that I'm sort of slowly bringing back on my Etsy shop, which I'm really not too happy with the changes that Etsy's made in the last several years. I once had a shop, and then I shut it down for a while when I was in school, and when I brought it back, everything was all different and crazy, and they push you to have free shipping and stuff now. It's a whole mess. But I tried other things, but I think Etsy is where it's just the easiest storefront that to get my things out there, so that's what I'm going to use for the time being. But it'll be important if you're interested in following this channel, because one of the main endeavors that I want to do first with Summit Studios is to sell off some old work that I have. In the long run, I have several ideas of things that I'd like to do all the time. I think of, buying old corner bars in Milwaukee and just rehabbing it into something totally different that's still a bar, but like, it doesn't need to be a dark room with a pool table and darts. It can be something, a nice art space or something totally different. And eventually I'd like to have a storefront studio. I think that'd be pretty nice. I want to get a printing press is probably the number one thing. The first purchase that I'd want to make, because I want to get back into some relief printing. I used to do a bunch of landscape relief prints, and I have some ideas for series of work that I think would be interesting and also would probably sell well too. So get some money coming in to fund other projects that way. But in the meantime, I have an enormous amount of work that I need to get rid of that I've made over the last 20 years. Some of these things, I have portfolios full of watercolor paintings that I've never shown, and I never will show because at this point they're so old they have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm doing now. Like, I could probably, if I was really interested, try to get them up somewhere, but I don't know what the purpose of it would be because the work it's not developed to the point that it would be in a space that would really help me out to be showing at. Yeah, I just need to do something with these things other than have them sitting around my storage room taking up space. They're not doing me any good sitting around here. So rather than me just hoarding all of this old stuff, I'd rather get it in the hands of people that actually care about it. And I've had some people give me some grief about this term in the past, but I would call it an art garage sale. I'm gonna do an art garage sale where I just mark things down to try to get rid of them, and there's nothing wrong with that in my view, because having stacks and stacks of literally hundreds of pieces of work in my studio is just taking up space. Some things I'll probably even throw away if they don't sell. I'm not above throwing work away if it's not doing me any good and it's not doing anyone else any good. Why am I hanging on to it? That's what hoarders do, and I don't want to be a hoarder. So it's time to get rid of some of these things. And in order to try and facilitate that, like if I just put them on Etsy and that's it, nobody's gonna buy it because it's just another digital picture out on the internet. It doesn't make, nobody has a connection to that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of unbox these things as I find them and pull them out, and I'll be genuinely surprised by some of the things that come out of here. Like, just in moving my things to this studio, I was kind of shuffling things around and would glance into a box and I'd be like, wow, I haven't seen this in about 10 years. That's interesting. So some of these things I will be genuinely shocked to see for the first time in a long time. And just want to make videos to show them to you and talk about the reasons why I made them, when I made them, what they are exactly. And there's usually, I mean, there's a lot of peripheral information that goes into art. It's been part of the continuum of my life for the last 20 years, and so there's a lot to talk about within anything, any one piece. And so if you find it interesting, you can just subscribe to the channel, and you can also find me on Twitter, on Instagram. Where else am I? I had a Facebook page. I need to get that thing going again. Facebook, not my personal page. Don't look me up on there. I think it's called SummitStudiosMKE. Just look for that. All that information will be down in the bottom of this video here. And yeah, check back in and maybe we'll find something interesting in the stacks.